We have seen a lot of conflict in the world right now with very sad outcomes. Now, one thing that investors may be concerned about or wondering is how does a conflict elsewhere outside of North America impact you as an investor here in Canada and or maybe the US? So let's take a look. So, is international conflict going to impact your investment portfolio? And if so, how much? The answer is probably negatively, but the amount of that negative impact depends on a few key factors. There is a research report that I dug through recently by Gerald, Schneider, and Vera, Troeger. In their research report labeled Stock Market Reactions to the International Conflicts, it was published in October 2006 in the Journal of Conflict Resolutions, and it came to several conclusions. The research report link can be found in the notes section of my YouTube channel for this video. Now, the paper determined that their conflict is always negative. I mean, it's never a good thing. It's always negative. Let's be real, especially the human impact of conflict. However, in your investment portfolio, the amount of that negativity, it's almost always negative. In very small situations, it has a short-term positive impact. But for the most part, it's negative, but it's the severity of that negative impact depends upon proximity. How close is it? For example, the conflict right now we're not seeing in North America, it's in other parts of the world. So that's number one. Number two, if the conflict is expected, there's less of a negative impact than one that's unexpected. And number three, it depends on the severity and length of time over which the conflict happens. Okay, so now that we know that conflict generally has a negative impact on your investment portfolio, but in general it is less in severity, what do you do about it? It is best practice to always be expecting the unexpected. There are three things in life that are guaranteed. Number one is death, number two is taxes, number three is that an unpredictable event is going to happen sometime soon in the future. Here's a chart showing a whole list of unexpected events that have happened over, the average long-term history of the world. So basically the point is that there's a lot of stuff that happened in there, probably most of it, that nobody expected. So the way to invest for unexpected events is basically to take a defensive approach. And what that is having a properly diversified portfolio across sectors and across countries. That is a big one. Very often, and this is much more of a problem for people that live in Canada versus the US, if you are an investor, lots of times you fall victim to the home country bias. So for example, I'm going to walk you through the various sectors that we just have very little exposure to in Canada. So for example, let's bring up the various sectors that are generally accepted to exist and a few examples. So in Canada, there's no consumer staple like Walmart. Zero comparison in Canada. In healthcare, there's no Pfizer. There's no Merck. In tech, there's no Microsoft. I could go on and on with examples. If you are investing just in Canada, you are 100% increasing the risk to your portfolio and you're impacting your long-term returns negatively. Don't fall victim to home bias. Remember, an investment advisor's long-term experience and knowledge is priceless. I'm Anna Hilbery. Thank you so much for listening.